Hey everybody, it's Beth. Welcome to Infinite Garden. Last week, Robin M. commented on my video that she was patiently awaiting my favorite fall and winter perfumes. I love perfume. I love it so much, and a lot of you do too, so I'm more than happy to share that. I've got some brand new perfumes to the market, and I've got some very old, even some discontinued ones, which is kind of rude to talk about, but it's what I've been reaching for. So if that sounds interesting to you, please stay tuned. This year, fall has been kind of long. I don't know how it is where you are, but it's been warm all through September and October. And even November's been, although kind of wet where I am, it's been unnaturally warm and the leaves haven't been falling. So it's been kind of like an unusual season to want to get into the cozy things and all of the typical fall things. So it's been a little bit of a slower transition into the seasonal shift for me. One of the perfumes I've been reaching for has been recently reformulated to kind of great disapproval by the perfume crowd out there, and that's Miss Dior. Miss Dior Eau de Parfum is a beautiful chypre, and a chypre, if you don't know, always will have bergamot at the opening, and then at the base they'll have some kind of either oak moss, which is sort of being phased out as a perfume ingredient, or patchouli or labdanum, something kind of earthy at the bottom, and I love that combination. I really love a complex and sophisticated perfume. And Miss Dior, this is the 2017 formulation. I guess they've been consistently reformulating this. There was a 2012 version, which I don't think I've smelled. I do have the 2012 Le Parfum, which is to die for, but it's very special and I rarely use it. The Eau de Parfum, this one came out in 2017. People complained then about the reformulation, but it just got reformulated again in 2021, and people are extremely upset about this. You can still find this, not in like a department store or whatever, but you could find this out and about in discount shops or whatever, but not much longer. So I wanted to share this one just because it's almost gone. What I like about it is that it does have that wonderful rich citrus opening. It's full of spices, and it also has a lot of fat rose. I don't know about you, but I love the scent of rose, especially in the colder months. The vibe of this is incredibly sophisticated and feminine, but feminine in like a frilly way. I love it. It makes me feel like I am sexy and sensual, and that I have a level of sophistication. It's the spices and the depth. It's beautiful. I wore this to the symphony last week. We went to see, there was a Rachmaninoff piano concerto. It was so beautiful, and everybody was masked, so I thought, why not? I'll wear a perfume that stands out a little bit. And my husband later accused me of causing the woman behind us to sneeze the entire time. I don't think that's why she was sneezing, but he was like, I could smell your perfume through the mask. It's a powerhouse. The next one is a niche perfume that I bought almost 10 years ago. It's Anima Dulcis by Arquiste. This one, you can see if I've had it 10 years, I've only used this much, but it's kind of a little special one. This one was meant to evoke a Mexican convent in 1695. I have to write this down. Yes, 1695 in Mexico City. And so this is a gourmand. This one is meant to smell like the kind of the famous Mexican spiced cocoa. So it has notes of chili, cocoa and vanilla, and incense from the convent. I love these conceptual perfumes where they sort of transport you in time and space. I'm such a sucker for it. And this one is rich and deep, and it sticks to the skin. It has amazing longevity. I like to wear this one when I host Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving is in the US a highly problematic holiday in terms of the origins of it and the mythology around it, but I love the food, and I love cooking the food, and I love having the leftovers, and I love having people over. So I usually want to host Thanksgiving, and when I do, I almost always wear Anima Dulcis. Another one that I like that's a bit of a gourmand, that's new to my collection and easily accessible. You can find this anywhere, discount sites, wherever. It's a Jimmy Choo Eau de Parfum. This is such a surprise. There's a YouTube perfume channel that I love called Soki London, and she's been talking about this and talking about it. So finally I decided I would buy a small bottle blind, which is something I don't normally do. but I'm glad I did. This was made by Olivier Polge. Hope I'm saying that right. He's a perfumer for Chanel. So that's the person who crafted this. So whether you like Jimmy Choo, the brand, or whatever, it's good to know who made it and if they made other perfumes you like. If you know Chanel's perfumes, he made Gabrielle and Eau Tendre. So he's got his act together. This is a primarily fresh gourmand. The first thing you smell when you spray it is a juicy pear, which is wonderful. Very fresh, but still sweet, but not sickly sweet, you know, just like pear sweet. And watery, very watery, almost transparent, quite uplifting. In the heart of it, it has an orchid, which I don't know exactly what it is I'm smelling. I think that's more of a fantasy note, but it continues kind of the watery, transparent line, and it ends with toffee and patchouli. But it's toffee, not like if you put toffee in your nose, but more like if you had a toffee candy still in its wrapper and you smelled it through the wrapper. Do you know what I mean? You just a whiff of toffee for me. And then that patchouli that kind of grounds it, which I really like. I love those earthy notes. This one is uplifting, so I can smell it on me, and when I do, it kind of makes me smile. It smells delicious, it smells feminine, and it smells fresh. It's really an excellent perfume, and it's made by one of the best noses in the biz. So if you've never smelled this or overlooked this one, I'd strongly consider it. Okay, now it's time for a little bit of story hour. This fall's been a little different because I've been doing some traveling, and the perfume I brought on these travels is sort of worth noting. So a couple of weeks ago, some of you may have noticed I skipped a week of uploading. I was traveling back home to my hometown of Minneapolis to attend the funeral of someone I love dearly. I needed the time to grieve and heal. I thought about putting something up at the time, and I was just not able to, honestly. Because I was attending a funeral, I wanted something that I could wear to the funeral that felt respectful and beautiful. That whole weekend was really, really hard. I hadn't been back to Minneapolis since September 2019. That was the last time I was there. And since then, you know, there was the George Floyd murder and all of the disruptions that have happened in Minneapolis, and I've watched it from afar. It's been kind of hard. I've been in close contact with my friends and family there, you know, understanding what's going on. It's my first time going back home and seeing kind of the state of affairs there. And one of the first things I did when I got out of the airplane, you know, and rented my car, was driving myself over to where I was staying. I decided I would swing by the George Floyd Memorial in South Minneapolis. And so I started my weekend coming home for a really, you know, sad event. And I was already kind of in a weakened state. When I approached the memorial, I was overcome with emotion and grief. If you have a chance to go to Minneapolis, the George Floyd Memorial is being beautifully attended to by people in the neighborhood, including some of the people who testified at the trial. So if you paid attention to any of that, those people are still attending to that space. When I was there, I walked up to the area, and the gentleman who, if you watch the trial, there was a gentleman who had been driving by, and he stopped and tried to communicate with George during the murder, and he broke down in tears on the stand. So if you saw that, he was present when I was there, and he's there almost every day, I think, making sure the memorial stays respected. And there were a lot of like flowers out and signs, and it was all beautifully arranged. Anyway, he saw me crying and came up to me and introduced himself as the man who'd been in the trial, and I gave him a big hug, and we held each other in the autumn sunlight and cried together the whole bit. And I went back to my hotel, you know, and I cried and cried and cried. So after that, then the next day I went to the funeral that I was attending, and I cried all day and I cried all night, and the next morning I cried the whole time too. So this is maybe not the best way to introduce this perfume. The whole time I was wearing Elie Saab's Le Parfum. It was created by Francis Kurkdjian, and I knew that because it had been, it was likely to be beautiful, and it really is. And the reason why this was the perfume that I brought with me and was wearing in these moments is because it has a respectful quality to it. Some people say that this is also a good wedding day perfume, and that makes sense to me. There's a certain holiness to this one as well. This is an orange blossom scent, but it also has rose, and then it has honey and vetiver is like a hay smell. I love vetiver. It is often in a lot of men's perfumes. I bought a Guerlain's vetiver for my husband because I love it so much. It's just an incredible scent, and it grounds this heady orange blossom and rose back down to the earth, and it makes it almost like a connection between heaven and earth, if you will. And I don't mean to strain it, but it feels so appropriate. So I wore this to the funeral that I was attending. I wore it all week, and even though I was honestly just constantly weeping the entire weekend, I felt uplifted without being distracted by Elie Saab Le Parfum. And I bought this little tiny bottle, and it's great for travel. So it's got a nice, durable, beautiful glass bottle. So I didn't have any concern about it breaking in my bag. I may end up ultimately buying a larger bottle because this could be a signature scent. This isn't really fall and winter necessarily. It's not really summer, spring, although some people might say that. I think it's an anytime, every time perfume. It's beautiful, it's ladylike, it's holy, it's really genuinely so incredibly beautiful, and it felt like the right one to wear for such a solemn time for me this fall. Anyway, I highly recommend trying this if you can. So on a happier note, the following weekend, my husband and I went to go travel and see my family for a family weekend. So again, I was traveling, and I ended up bringing some travel sprays with me, and I wanted to talk about those right now. So the first one I'm going to talk about that I brought out with me to see my family was from Replica, which is a brand I adore. Replica, rather than saying this is Replica woman and trying to make a perfume that is for a woman, they instead try to evoke a point in time and place, which is, I think, way more interesting. So one I brought with me to see my family was Replica's Matcha Meditation. This is meant to evoke a Zen sort of experience with sipping a cup of matcha tea. I drink matcha almost every single day for lunch in the traditional way, where you like spoon in the powder and you whisk it. I love it, and I love the smell of it. This to me absolutely captures the scent of matcha tea, but it also smells a little bit more like a matcha latte you'd get at Starbucks, which isn't exactly my jam, but it's nice. It has a little bit of white chocolate in it, as well as orange flower water. It's really nice. It's not a scent I necessarily want to smell like. I don't want this Matcha Meditation to be my signature scent, what people know me by. But it's extremely cozy and friendly, and I knew I was going to be spending time with a very young person on this trip, and I thought it had a very friendly, kind of yummy vibe, and I thought this might be, a nice scent to have on while hanging with a little one. It's great, it's fun, I've enjoyed it. I don't think I'm going to buy a full bottle of it, but when I feel like I want something kind of a little gourmand, but not too serious, but not too silly either, because that green tea note is quite earthy and serious, making it, worth wearing for me. I really enjoyed it. Have you guys checked this out? I guess they had another tea scent that was discontinued that a lot of people like too, that I never got a chance to smell. But I'm enjoying this one. I think Replica is really clever, and I tend to follow them around and see what they're up to. That leads me to their more recent offering. This is Autumn Vibes. So I hope you knew I was going to be talking about this one. This one is, it came out in the summertime, in the middle of summer, which some people were confused about, but it's ahead of the fall. So if you know Replica's line, they've got a very famous perfume called By the Fireplace that's meant to evoke a Swiss chalet, and so there's like wood smoke from the fireplace, which a lot of people love. I think if you're looking for a more masculine sense, I think that smoke note is great. I think some more, if you're into more feminine scents, the wood smoke has turned some people off. There's a little wood smoke in here, but it's more off in the distance. It's like, not like as if you yourself were sitting by the fire, but as if the window were open and someone were burning leaves way off in the distance and it wafted in just a little bit. It has the smell of earth and leaves and fire. it's so nice. So this one, we, when I was out visiting my family, we went for a hike, which I love to do, and I wore this on the hike. It was ideal for that. This one is very spicy. It smells a lot like, don't take this the wrong way, but you know, the pumpkin spices that everybody loves. It doesn't smell like pumpkin at all, but it does. It has, you know, like nutmeg in here and cardamom and pepper notes. I don't know if you like to smell spicy. It is more unisex, I would say. I like unisex perfumes very, very much. And this one is very spicy and woodsy, but it also has, there's a little bit of maple, and I think that's what's making it sort of warm and soft. It's very good. I could absolutely see buying a full bottle of this. I'll have to get further down into this travel spray before I'd consider it, because Replica's perfumes are a little costly, but this is lovely, and every time I wear it, I'm glad that I'm wearing it, if you know what I mean. Okay, we're getting to the end. If you've watched some of my other videos, you know I'm a Sisley customer. I use both some stuff for their skincare and also hair care. So I try to time my Sisley expenditures at a time when they're offering certain gifts and things. I have a Sisley rep who alerts me to these things. And so I recently ordered some of my necessities, and I got the free gift that came this time, which is a travel spray of Izia La Nuit. It's named after the founder of Sisley, who apparently has a fabulous garden in France that I can't wait to be invited to. And this is meant to evoke a particular rare type of rose that is growing in the garden. This is so beautiful. I cannot stand it. I will absolutely be buying a full bottle of this perfume. Oh, this one is so beautiful. I'm not wearing anything right now, but we're gonna do this. Oh my God. This one, the first thing you smell is black currant, a deep, dark, midnight black currant, which kind of, oh God, it brings out, there's a little tartness that comes from the black currant. And then there's this unmistakable fat rose coming through. But it's transparent enough. It stays, it has incredible lasting power, but it's a little bit see-through, so you don't feel weighed down by the rose. It is divine. This one also has cardamom and patchouli in it. You've maybe seen a theme. I love my spices and I love my earthy scents. This has a depth. It's so deep, and this is, you know, La Nuit, so it's meant to be worn at night, and I can totally see that. I would wear this during the day though. I don't think it's too much for that. It is exquisite. It lasts long. It smells elegant. So we were also, you know, for this weekend trip, we were celebrating a loved one's milestone birthday, and we had a nice meal together and made it special, and we all, you know, dressed up and had a nice time together. And this is the perfume that I wore for that. It felt appropriate for that type of meaningful milestone. And I love this. I could wear this every day for the rest of my life. You know, I don't want to be a hog and have all of the perfume in the world, but I like the variety, and I find for me personally, being able to reach for different scents lifts my mood. It kind of marks the day. It marks the differences in the days and the energies and my energy. I love the poetry of perfume. I love the history of it. I love kind of the sorcery behind crafting something really unique. And I have a hard time passing up something genuinely beautiful, so I will likely be buying Izia La Nuit. I'll just time it so I can maybe get some deluxe samples in the meantime. Anyway, that's what I've been wearing so far this fall. What are you wearing? Do you have any of these? Are any of these interesting to you? Are you like me? Do you like to mix it up a lot and try a lot of things? Do you have an embarrassingly deep perfume collection like me? It's kind of a little bit of a secret, but I'm letting you guys in on it. Anyway, tell me all about what you're thinking and what you're wearing. Talk to you soon.